This is Coach Alison G with Real Talk with Coach Alison G. We are on episode number 4.
Can you believe it?
I can't. Oh my God, if you know me, this has been a passion of mine. So just to be able to see this realized is very exciting. So when we talk about goals and I'm actually like doing one of them, that's a big thing. So however, today I have my first guest on my podcast. Yes, this is Osei Xavier. He is kind of my training guru extraordinaire. I met Osei when kickboxing became really popular. I ended up getting a package to go kickboxing and met this gentleman who truly kicked my ass, forget about boxing, but taught me things like southpaw stance and all these other good, cool things. And not gonna lie, punching the shit out of a bag with my pink gloves was just like, man, you want to talk about feeling like a badass? I did. So
she certainly did.
Yeah. His natural personality just made me drawn to him because he, like me, is really all about wellness and fitness. And I was just talking to him about all the things he does, and I'm going to let him explain a little bit more. But it wasn't just kickboxing. We actually met at John Wei Kung Fu, which is a martial arts studio, where he was teaching Muay Thai, Kung Fu, strength training. Tell me all the things you were doing, because you listed quite the resume.
So yes, I was teaching, but also managing the studio as well. So, but to manage the studio, I had to know how to teach every class, just in case like I either had to step in and teach a class, or I had classes on my own that I had to teach as well too. So at the school, we started off as a Kung Fu school. I was there from way back then, and then I became a personal trainer because they started me teaching, and I was like, this is cool. I like helping people. So when I got my personal training license, and then obviously training at the martial arts school, we got into the Muay Thai and Sanshao. Sanshao is the Chinese version of Muay Thai, basically. With that, and then got into some jiu-jitsu as well. And I'm basically a martial arts nerd, so anything cool with martial arts in the martial arts world, I always want to be a white belt, go in there, train it, learn it, stuff like that. But it comes the same thing with physical training too, with physical fitness, stuff like that, because so many things, so many aspects out there, but just helping people achieve their dreams, their goals. With kickboxing, it was always about weight loss with people coming in, so everybody wanted to, well, not always. When you dig down to the heart of it, everybody came in, they said they wanted to lose 20 pounds. That was a magic number everybody wanted to lose when they came in to kickboxing. And when you dig down deeper, sometimes it was self-confidence, it was this, it was a lot of other reasons that people were coming in for the kickboxing classes. And then, from there, it's like, began taking on some personal training clients. And I never really wanted to do it like as a full-time thing. Actually, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. There's a lot to the world of personal training and helping that out, but I don't know. I just have a lot. I have a lot of stuff going on. I have a couple businesses and stuff like that too. So not just managing martial arts school, which I don't do that much anymore now. I do more marketing and helping Allison with this awesome podcast.
Because I told you he's awesome. I told you he was awesome. And don't let this fool you. Sweet, but he's an MFer. He introduced me, if you've never met Sally, he introduced me to Sally, and I gotta tell you, Sally going up and Sally going down, me and Sally are not friends. But because of that, and becoming a personal trainer myself, I have actually brought Sally out to other people, thanks to him.
You're welcome.
But yeah.
Don't hate me.
So as we know, this show is called Real Talk, and poor Osei has no idea the questions that I've prepared. But one of the things through the years, and I thought it'd be nice to hear it from someone else who's a trainer, not just lovely me, who you're going to hear me talking enough. I know a lot of times I get clients who inevitably, look, it's an 80-20 rule. 80% what you eat, 20% how you move. But when you're at that 20%, it becomes 100% about mindset and thinking and being able to push yourself and self-motivate. So I've heard so many reasons why people can't do things. So what I thought would be fun would get into the mind of a trainer and someone who has worked with people. And from the experiences that I've had and the things that I've heard, I kind of want to get a perspective from someone else so that you know and you don't have to guess, right? So the next time you come up with an objection in your head why you can't do it, you're going to remember him and what he had to say.
Oh boy.
So, like I said, I have my prepared list of questions. Okay, so start with the most common misconceptions that people have when it comes to starting training? I know, that's a good one. I said it so nicely, but
Well, like I said before, that 10 or that 20 pound rule, that people think they're gonna lose 20 pounds in a month.
Okay, but there's a lot of, so let's break this down, okay, and let's talk honestly here. There are a lot of trainers that are out there that do promise that are going to take that person for whatever the reason. Maybe they're selling a training package or working for someone, but they're going to go in with that belief that this trainer is going to take them to this nirvana of this magical place where every row that they do, they're losing a pound. So is this true?
It is 150. Well, let me not say it's going to be a lie. It's can you lose 20 pounds in a month or two? Yeah, can you do about 10 pounds a month? Can you? Yes. Is it sustainable? No. And you're going to be extremely, extremely, extremely unhappy. And I give myself because I say that because while I was working and stuff like that, I did fighting for like 20 years. And oftentimes in fighting, you start the week before your weigh-ins, about 10 to 15 pounds. And some fighters actually can weigh a lot more. I know fighters who've cut 30 pounds in 1 week.
Okay, but how many hours are they training?
Exactly. So one is the amount of hours that they're training, that they're putting in. So they're putting in at least 3 to 6 hours of training a day, depending on the fighter and the person that they are. Their life becomes about the workout. Everything is geared towards that, especially when you're getting towards fight week. Or if you're like a star who's cutting weight for a movie or doing something like that, they get paid trainers, paid nutritionists, paid everything. So everything they have is covered. Plus, I'm not going to talk about the amount of drugs that they usually take to make it happen. But they have all of that covered. Whereas real person working a real 9-to-5 job, mom or dad, and you have a life outside of gym, you could really only make it into workout like maybe 45 minutes to an hour a day. Is it possible? No, it's not possible. And like those trainers who do promise you the world and that sort of stuff, it's not really true. Let's just be honest with you. And if it is, like I said, it's not sustainable. Now, if you haven't worked out forever and you start moving all of a sudden, you're gonna see your biggest drop in that first month. And then your body just starts to peter off and it starts to become back to normal, because if you were walking around at 250 pounds, that's become your normal. And that's your thermostat level. That's where your body wants to stay at. And you start pushing it down, your body's gonna fight to go back up. Or vice versa. Sometimes it's as hard to put on weight as it is to take off weight. Mm-hmm. Whatever your thermostat level is, and you've been walking around that's where your body's fighting to stay at that level or stay at that mark. So you'll see that first drop, and then your body will start to peter out and wants to come back up, and you have to keep fighting and changing and working with your trainer and that mentality to keep forcing it down if it's losing weight, or like I said, vice versa, gaining weight too.
So one thing that I wanted to, when we were talking about weight loss and the 10 pounds in a month, it's also relative to the size of a person.
Yep.
Clearly, someone who's coming in at 250 pounds, it's a lot easier. We expect them to lose 2.5 pounds per week.
Yep.
Versus someone who's coming in at 140 or 120.
Correct.
It's a lot harder. So I think, too, being realistic. Do you think, let's put it that way, do you think most people are realistic in their goals?
Nope. I think this culture, I'm sorry, it's real. Just being realistic about it, And unfortunately, with the rise of social media, and it has its good and it has its bads, but you see the positive, or you see the end result, or you see this was so easy, or I did this or I did that and this worked out for me. And I mean, it may work out for that person or for this person, but for most people, 99% of the population, it is not going to work. Or following the exact same diet plan that somebody else did that may have gotten them results is probably not going to work for you, because everybody's individual and everybody's bodies processes things differently and go through different stressors. And like we said, if that person on social media, if they are doing their if they're posting 5-6 times a day, that is their job. Workout, post, workout, post, workout, post. They don't have a 9-to-5. They don't have, those other things going on where it's like, so if they're working out all day, yes, it's going to be easy for them. And plus, sometimes too, a lot of them are like former athletes who, where I talked about that thermostat level, like say, if you're an athlete and you're used to walking around at 160, 170 pounds, you get injured, you go up in weight for a little bit, and then once you heal and recover, you start pushing your training back up again, and all of a sudden it's easy for you to slide back down. You know, you could go up to 200 pounds, and then dropping that 25 to 30 pounds is going to be easier for you because your body's used to that thermostat level, and it's already taking you back down there, like once you start moving again. So,
okay.
Just being relative.
I love that you just brought up injury.
Uh-huh.
You know where I'm going with this. I know for myself right now, I'm just coming off of a knee injury. I know in training classes, before class even starts and you've set the workout, like we have people that are coming up with a million, I can't do this because I have this, or I've hurt my knee, I've hurt my back, I've hurt my neck, I've hurt my shoulder. Talk to me about, because sometimes that is the biggest reason people don't even start, is because they have an injury or something hurts them. So overcoming that, tell me like your mindset. My
mindset towards that is that, one, overall, the body is built to move. If it's not moving, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. No matter what your condition, situation is, your body's designed to move, to work off injuries, to rehabilitate itself. Even if you have injury, and it's like, psychologically we feel terrible. It's just like, and you don't want to trust if it's a knee injury or hip or something like that. Your body doesn't want to trust it anymore, but you have to start moving to build and regain that trust. As a trainer, getting people to start believing in themselves in that is like finding a way to work around. And I always like disproving what they think they cannot do. If it's, I can't do a push-up, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do a push-up, even if you might have a shoulder injury, or if you've never been able to do a push-up in your life, and I say, listen, you're strong enough to get one in. And it's like, it might not be today, we might get half, or we might get a quarter, or it might just get you against the wall that you're pushing off of the wall. And then all of a sudden you start to develop that belief in yourself again. And you start to believe that, hey, maybe that kernel, just plant that seed of like confidence that maybe it can happen, and slowly bring them up in that journey. So anytime people come in with, I have this injury, I have that injury, or this hurts or that hurts, it's always taking them on a path, and it's really like taking their hand. It's like, as a trainer, you have to, as a good trainer, let me say, because there's a lot of bad trainers out there. There's a lot of trainers out there who do not know how to train people that are not like themselves, unfortunately. Learning how to train people who have injuries, who are overweight, who are underweight, who are older, who are younger. There's different methodologies, different modalities, there's different things that you have to get into, and the different mindsets of people. And unfortunately, a lot of gym trainers only know how to train themselves. They got into personal training because they love going to the gym, they love training, and they can train themselves, but they have a different mindset than most people, and they said, well, this is what I want to do because I get to spend the most amount of time in the gym for free. And yeah, unfortunately, I've met so many people who have come from trainers who have had injuries, or from other martial arts schools who they went too hard, at first, and they end up injured, hurt, and discouraged about doing this, even though something they may really want to do, but it's like, having to dispel that myth first and then lift them up.
Okay, so dispelling myths. You said modifications.
Yes.
A lot of people view modifications as weakness. So I know I've seen it where I'm like, you clearly see someone's form is terrible, you want to correct them, and so you try to give them a modification first. I think especially in men, this is true, right? Like
men and women, but yes, I see a lot of women too, but definitely men. Men want to, well, I know how to do this.
Okay, so talk to me about modifications and feeling that it shows weakness.
I have it's an old video. Somebody has it of me. I did a focus on a chest day workout, and it was pretty intense. It was super intense to the point where the last thing I had to do was 50 push-ups, and I did 5 push-ups on my toes, and I had to drop to my knees. And people call them, and I said, there's no such thing as girl push-ups. They're push-ups. They're just modified because, you can't get as deep or you can't go as far or your body's just strained to get them out. And I had to do 5, and I had to do like 10 sets of 5 to get through those last out of 50 push-ups. The thing about modifications is that it keeps you moving and keeps you going. It's not a modification to say like you're weaker or that you can't do. It's to build up the habits that's going to take you to where you want to be. We all want to, start off, and we, like I said, we see these people at the top, or these perfect push-ups, these perfect pull-ups, these perfect round kicks if it's kickboxing or in martial arts. And you got to understand that it takes practice and timing and movements that we're probably not used to, or most people aren't used to nowadays anymore, to get to that level. So teaching them how to do that proper form, you have to start off with a lighter weight. You have to start off with a general modification. You have to start off with, doing things a little differently. You can't jump underneath a bar. Even though you may have very strong legs, you can't start off squatting 300 pounds. You have to start off squatting actually air alone. Any good trainer will start you. Don't care who you are. If you come in, you could be the most jacked person in the world. I'm gonna be like, let me see you squat, and I'm watching you from the side, I'm watching you from the back, I'm watching you from the front. See how your knee tracks, how your butt tracks, where the alignment goes. Does your shoulder fall forward? Does it fall backwards? Before you put any weight on that, before you even give them a bar or put any weight on it, you have to check that, because the last thing that you want to do is create an injury or exacerbate an injury, and then you're out from training for X amount of time, or it's really, you really have to step back the modifications a lot. So dispelling that myth of like telling people like it is not, it's like, it's not you, it is just the process, it's the ladder. I had to learn how to do it like this to get to here, to get to here, to get to here, to get to there. Same thing like with learning how to train people. I had to learn how to, first do the exercises myself. Then I had to learn how to do, and I would simulate some injuries on myself. Like if I hurt a shoulder and I pretend like I couldn't use my left shoulder. So how would I teach somebody how to do a push-up with one arm, or like modified, switching the arms just back a little bit so I know I could take pressure off of it, but I could still force myself into doing a push-up or with a leg or anything like that. Making myself aware of what people will be coming in with, or telling me, giving me this information so that I can learn how to say, okay, this is the modification, this is the steps, and if you do this, we get to this, we get to this, and then finally you get to your goal, if it's going to do 50 push-ups or it's going to be whatever. I remember summer camp, I did that. Summer camp was when I taught a summer camp, sorry. Kind of me.
You went to summer camp.
No, I was a summer camp instructor, and like every kid that they brought in, we did kids from like 6 until like 12 or 13, and I told all the parents when they came in, I said, by the end of summer camp, if your kid does every week of summer camp, by the end of summer camp, they will be able to run 2 miles.
Ooh, yay. Did they do it?
Every kid was able to run 2 miles, or run 2 miles faster than most adults can. They may run walk some, but they were able to start off from one point, and by the end of that summer, they were able to get up to those 2 miles, one way or the other. That's
awesome. Okay, next question. Form versus speed. Because I know a lot of people, I've seen men and women in this category too, where it's getting through something very fast and they feel that pushing, I'm going to do like 10 reps really fast. And then after a while you see their form is all over the place, but yet the speed's important to them. So how important is form versus speed?
Speed kills, just like everything else. Speed kills.
We like that.
Bad form in any exercise, any movement, and especially when it comes to weight training or strength training. I said you approach the weights, approach the bar, approach anything like it's a wild animal. You move too fast and it'll bite you.
I like that.
Exactly.
To use that one.
And especially if it's that you want to develop muscle mass or hypertrophy. If it's you're training for an athletic sport, then sometimes you do need that explosive motion, but still you need to work on the form factor first. Like I said, just the depth and how you can squat, how you can go down without causing injury or letting your back take over or anything like that. So, and the thing too about sometimes getting people like, and I have this insane shoulder workout that I do with, now normally I could get in there and it's like, I get shoulder press, like, put 250s on there, I get shoulder press. But I rarely do that. I will go in and I'll sit in the gym and I'll grab like the 20s. And I would do this just insane shoulder workout because I'm going super slow with it and making sure I can feel almost every muscle fiber as I move through it. it's excruciating. I could get through maybe 3 to 5 reps instead of like, you know, if I had a 50 pounds, I could do 10 reps very, very fast. And then when you look at it, you know, when you have the time, the muscle with the time and attention, the more time that you keep that muscle contracted or working, it's the more benefits that you're going to get for it. All the things that people are looking for, you get it from more time and attention than you do get it from speed. Unless, like I said, unless you're trying to do athletic sport where, and even when you're doing athletic sport where you're like it's football, basketball, you know, or training kids or anything like that, you want to develop that fast twitch muscles, but you got to develop the form for that fast twitch muscle first. And then when you start to teach them explosive speed, it's going to be with very, very light weights or with no weights at all. Just, you know, plyometrics or, you know, band work maybe, but everything comes off of form first. Teaching somebody how to throw a proper jab. I'm talking about kickboxing class. I could spend 15 minutes teaching people how to throw a proper jab, and if you can't throw it slow, then I said you can't throw it fast. If you can't throw a proper jab slowly with the correct, you know, understanding the alignment of the body, how the arm has to track out, how it has to track back in. And any real boxing trainer or fighter will tell you the same thing. If you can't throw something slowly, you can't go through it fast. And that's just with boxing gloves on. So with weight training or with any other exercise that you do, doing it slow is key. If you know, don't chase the reps.
Okay.
Chase the feeling.
That's good. All right, so let's get into the psychology of clients and what your trainer's thinking.
Oh boy.
Okay, so.
The real thoughts, huh? If I offend anybody in advance, sorry, but.
We're being real here because I'm sure, look, we're not judging anyone here.
Nope.
We're just being honest.
Yep.
And just the same way you have reservations or you see things, we see them too. And so we have our thoughts that maybe if we bridge this gap, it makes success a whole lot easier. Mm-hmm. What are some things you truly appreciate in a client?
I appreciate honesty and the sweat factor.
Expand.
So, honesty and telling me how they truly feel. You know, sometimes you have people come in and they can be extremely sore or they can be hurt and they don't want to say that because they feel that it makes them feel weaker or whatever. It's like, how do you really feel? Plus, the emotional load that you have when you come in affects your workout. If you're a good trainer, if you have a good trainer, if you come in, you have a guy that comes in and most days they're like super hype and they're ready to go and you can throw anything at them and they're gonna just go right through it, great. And then one time they come in and they're super low, maybe they just lost a loved one or they had a breakout, you know, a breakup with someone or something like that, and they're very, very low, and you try to give them that same workout, you're not gonna get the same results. And that, in fact, what might happen is like you might start to deter them towards that, you know, towards working out. So I always check on their emotional level when they come in. Just be honest with me, like if something's happened. And I tell people too, it takes energy to hold down emotions. So if you're working out and I'm pushing you towards your limit, but you're still trying to hold down this thing that's going to make you cry or make you feel bad or whatever, what have you, you know, and halfway through a workout, I've had this happen to me before, both men and women, they end up breaking down and crying or tearing up or whatever. And, you know, that happens. So honesty in workout and how you emotionally feel and how you physically feel.
Okay.
Sweat factor in that if, no matter what it is that we're doing, and I'm not saying everybody has to sweat, but everybody gets to the point where they can sweat. You know, I know some people it takes a little bit longer or harder for them to sweat, but understanding that, you know, a lot of times bodies will start sending out signals to say, hey, stop, after you reach about maybe 10, 15% of your energy load. And your body starts saying, nope, this doesn't feel good, like it doesn't, we need to stop, like this is, I want to slow down. But the difference is, you know, when you trust the trainer and you say, hey, I know that your body's saying this, but trust me, let's take one step more. Let's take 2 steps more. Let's go 1 more rep. Let's go 2 more reps. So that trust factor in that, and understanding too, like, you know, is it really pain or is it just uncomfortable? Because pain is one thing, and if it's an acute pain and you're honest, you know, with yourself and you're honest with your trainer and say, this is an acute pain, okay, you're stop that motion, stop that movement, whatever. If it's just uncomfortable because you're not used to that motion or you're not used to pushing that hard, then we can say, hey, like 1 more rep or 2 more reps, because I tell them in that uncomfortable zone, before it gets to pain, that uncomfortable zone, that's where change starts to happen.
So how do you, so I'm glad because I just wrote here pain versus push, right? So it's how do you explain that beforehand so people understand, because it's usually not that day or even the next day someone feels it, but like I always say 48, 72 hours later, all of a sudden you're trying to like go to the toilet and your legs give out and you do that plop. We've all done it, right? You do that plop.
Yep, the baby giraffe.
Yes, the baby. And that scares people because all of a sudden you said uncomfortable. Like all of a sudden they're scared and they don't want to go back to a workout again because that hurt. So pain versus push.
So and I had to learn this as an early trainer because I used to, and this is why I said about training people. And it's really the mentality of people and understanding who you're getting in. So some people are going to be like, if you push them too hard, they get too sore, they're not coming back. You created a negative feedback loop of pushing too hard and they're so sore that their body says like, so you create that psychology of like, this is going to hurt me, I never want to see or do this again. So it depends on psychology of a person, but if I get somebody who's like, okay, I know I can push so much, but I can't push too hard, I always let them know that your recovery is going to be as important as your workout. And if we're going to do a 30-minute workout today, then I say like, okay, I would like you to either do an online Pilates class, just get up and walk, just do a yoga session or a stretch, get a massage. There's going to be, your body's going to say like, this is uncomfortable and I am not feeling good, and I want you to treat yourself. I still tell people that, and I still do this to myself after a very heavy leg day. Anytime I have I work out a heavy leg day or something like that, I said, for the next 48 hours, you have to be very, very kind to yourself because it's very easy to get down on yourself. And understanding that what it takes to move muscles is nerves. And those nerve endings can get fried. And if you don't understand that, you can kind of sink into like a little mini depression, or you just don't feel good about yourself. And if your trainer's telling you like, okay, listen, I just need you to take care of yourself. Really do take care of yourself. If it's one of those times that's like I said, if you have to have a cheat meal, you have to have a cheat snack to make you feel better, have a cheat meal, have a cheat snack to make you feel better.
I didn't hear that.
I know, okay. But it's just like, it's like a one-time thing. It's just like, but I also want you to know I'm proud of you, and I check in with them the next day and the day after that, and I let them know what's coming up too. I also remind them like, hey, remember that we had a great shoulder workout. This is the first time you're doing shoulders, so you may feel a little bit of neck pain, a little bit of discomfort, okay? It may be a little hard for you to sleep. I want you to have like either like teach them how to use a hot sake or get like a heating pad, anything along those lines to say like, okay, just to pre-warn them. So once you pre-warn them and let them know, usually people can cope with it. It's when you don't say anything afterwards that they're like, holy hell, what did you do to me?
That's what I mean. And then all of a sudden they want to quit.
Yeah,
like,
they don't want to quit.
Go back, like, I'm in pain. No, you're sore.
Yeah, exactly, yes. And just be like, yeah, this is soreness. And, it takes, and understand, just teaching people like, hey, listen, to develop muscle, to develop more lean muscle mass, you're going to break the lean muscles. You have to break them down for them to regrow a little bit stronger. And in that regrowing part, that's where the soreness happens. That's where lactic acid is built up, and that's where your body doesn't feel like moving anymore. But I say it's always like pre-warning them and letting them know what to expect. And then you get some people that are just like, and I see it more in men than I see it in women. Anytime I train, and it's like women do not, if they get sore, sometimes they're not as sore as the men are. The men are usually sore for longer. And let's just be honest with you, men, we can't take pain as well as women do. A lot of times the men are just like, the men are the ones who are really ready to like, I can't do this. Or, they start making excuses of why they can't show up again because, you gave them the 25 and they thought they could handle the 30s, and, like the 25 and they did one rep and they're like, but like I said, pre-warning them and letting them know like at the end of every workout, I try to make everybody feel like a hero. Like, hey, you did it. This is great. This is awesome. Like, I really want you to hold on to this feeling that you are right now because your body's going to get a little bit of a high. And I want you to hold on to this feeling for the next day or two because this is what's going to see you through. You're going to feel a little low. You might feel a little bad. If it gets really, really bad, I'm talking to them. Hey, you might want that piece of chocolate that you've been eyeing for the end of the week. Maybe you should have that tomorrow because take care of yourself and give yourself a little bit of a reward to say, hey, I did it.
We have so much information to share on this topic today. Everybody's got questions when it comes to working out, training, what's good, what's bad, what do I do? That today's episode have such chock full that we're going to break it up into two, so that way we can keep these bite-sized pieces of information, keep you on your toes. I don't want to lose you at any part, so keep out for the second part of our interview with Osei.
Just the way you like it, the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.